Welcome to another episode of Hiring and Empowering Solutions. My name is Molly McGrath, and I am the creator of this office altering podcast. If you're a first-time listener, welcome. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. As always, you can check us out at hiringandempowering.com. All right, listeners, I'm excited for today's episode. We have Mark Homer, and I'm sure many of you are very familiar. You've been in the legal space, attending many different legal shows, events, virtually, in person. You've seen Mark on the speaking bill. Just want to mention, definitely make certain that you go and subscribe to Mark's podcast with Melanie Leonard. Many of you probably know her from Streamline Legal, one of the best Clio consultants out there. And your podcast is called Your Law Firm is a Business, Take It to the Next Level. So go to nextlevel.legal, correct?
That's right. Yeah. Check it out.
Yeah.
After you listen to this, of course.
Yes. And so Mark, tell us a little bit about GNGF, which stands for Get Noticed, Get Found, and your full service marketing agency in the legal space.
Yeah, we do marketing for law firms only. I've been doing that for going on 11 years, believe it or not.
Wow.
So we've been doing this for a while. We started off and worked, years and years ago. I mean, I guess over 11 years ago. We're working with a number of different small business owners, helping them, get their marketing going. Get a lot of focus on like more digital marketing, especially 11 years ago. People are just figuring out local search and things like that. And we end up having some lawyer clients. They referred us to many other people, and next thing you know, we had a lot of lawyer clients, and sort of like, we're telling everybody else they need to focus on a niche and focus on a practice area and stuff like that. We realized we probably should be doing that ourselves as well. So we did, it's around just over 10 years ago, focus only on attorneys. We wrote a book along the way.
What's the name of your book?
Online Law Practice Strategies.
Okay.
Yeah, you can grab it on Amazon.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Oh yeah, excellent. Yeah, it's a 300 pages, not 300 pages.
Wow. Full
color. So because it's marketing, right? I get to have pretty pictures in my books, unlike a lot of stuff where it's just a lot of black and white. So, it's been, like I said, we're in our 5th edition now, because it is the internet and it does change a lot. So, it's the internet dog years, they say. But yeah, so we've been doing marketing for law firms and been speaking and educating. We one of the things that we're very proud of is, in addition to doing work for clients, we do try to get out there between our book and YouTube channel and podcasts and stuff and educate as much as we can for people who like to roll up sleeves and do it themselves.
Yeah. I love that your business model is the same as mine, small solo law firm, so you can be really connected to the heartbeat of the business, especially doing marketing, right? You have a marketing agency, and so often, I'm sure you hear this quite often, I don't have that budget. I'm not a big firm. You don't understand my firm. When you talk with attorneys, and the fact that you do focus on small firms, definition of it might be a little bit, everybody has a different definition. For me, it means, being connected to the heartbeat of the business and really connected to the personal why of why they do what they do.
Absolutely. And just entrepreneurship in general is a passion of mine. And I think that anytime I can help entrepreneurs, it's great. I think a lot of small law firm business owners are almost accidental entrepreneurs, I call them, right? Like they get in business to practice law and then realize at some point along the way, you're running a business, which requires finance and operations and marketing and HR, right? But unfortunately, you often are finance, marketing, HR, and things. So having resources, I think to be able to help with that is important. And I like Molly, you probably agree. My account managers love the fact that we do a little marketing for a client, and then they grow, and then they have to hire paralegal, they have to hire admin. They when we see the law firm owner starting to hire people and oh, we did some marketing and somebody got hired, it's a really, really cool feeling.
Yes, right. And, I'm sure you're going to speak into this. And today I'm excited to talk about the trends that you really are passionate about and the 5 marketing strategies for 2022 and beyond. And I'm sure you hear this quite often when you put legal or law firm and marketing in the same sentence, attorneys tend to just lock up and get overwhelmed and very paralyzed. And so, well, you can't, the bar association and blah, blah, blah. And they just get really, they get frozen with being, in my experience, visible. Sometimes it's really fascinating to see whether it be about Google reviews or afraid to send that out because they're afraid of that one bad review that's going to come through. So hopefully you're going to talk a little bit about that today, just being online, visible, and digital, because it's so important in this day and age, and it's never, ever going away.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I would say that the last few years have been, I think it's become a lot more awareness and common, and people call us that, that are looking for it versus, catching us at a conference and going, I don't know, I'm nervous and stuff. But yeah, 4, 5, 6 years ago, there was a lot of fear, right? And I think there is still a lot of fear around, well, the bar association, I heard the rules or this and that. And we do a lot of CLEs where, we're talking about the ethics of marketing in all these different states and stuff. And I'll be honest, in general, states say it's totally fine to do marketing and you should be doing marketing. And they call out the internet and they call out, online review sites, and these are called out all the time. So I think there's a lot of misconceptions there, but marketing is being visible is critical. More and more, I mean, over the last 2 years, we certainly learned the online visibility is important, right?
Yes. Talk to us about the 5 strategies that you're, seeing are working and converting.
Yeah. So, I always look to my team every year and say, what's working right now for people that I can take and kind of go out and talk about and teach and say, if you implement these things, it's going to move your business forward next year. So, we're looking at 2022 and saying, okay, what do we do this year, right? So one of the ones I'm going to talk about, the first strategy is I call protecting your referrals. And this isn't a new strategy, but it's something that I'm just going to keep saying over and over until I see everyone doing it. It's been in our book since like a couple editions ago. It's like core part of our, we have a GNGF way, which is our 6 steps for marketing that we run clients through. It's step number 1. So protecting your referrals means we know based on the Clio trends reports and stuff, about 50% of people look to a friend or colleague to, if they have a legal problem, right? So that's a referral. And we know that a lot of law firms get a majority or a decent amount of their business from referrals.
Yeah.
But this day and age, Molly, like if you were to ask me about something and I was to give you a referral, you'd probably reach in your pocket, pull out your phone and start typing in the name I gave you. Right. I'm not handing you a business card. I mean, you remember the days when you literally would say, yes, oh, here's a friend of mine. Here's their business card. Right. Or I would give you like their domain and, but now it's like you just type their name into Google and you want to check out if I'm crazy or not. Like, OK, Mark's giving me this referral. I trust Mark. But what came up on Google could be like a bad review, all these kind of things. Right. Just or make next to no existence of this person. And you're going to second guess that. I have a college age son, and he literally has told me, he's like, well, if somebody doesn't have a website, they're not a real business. Like that is the perception of millennial and Gen Z and stuff. Right. And so not having that presence, and it's so easy. It really isn't that hard to have a presence to dominate around your own name or your firm name. And that's what protect your referrals means. It's just doing that work with the Google profiles, the directory listings, your social media profiles. You don't have to do a lot on social media, but claim the profile with your name. There's the difference of having a couple bad reviews or even just 6 or 7 positive reviews. So they at least see 4.5 stars, right? When they search your name. So that's the first strategy, is just protect referrals. Make sure that when you get a referral, you're not losing that on the Google search, because it's still a strong part of law firm businesses.
Absolutely. I love that. And it's so true. I can't tell you how many law firms I'll go to and their website's way outdated, and especially on smartphone, not even mobile responsive. Or you go to their website and there's no activity on their blogging or resources or PDF downloadable tools or what have you. And the first thing that a buyer or referral source is going to think is, they're not cutting edge. They're not up to date. They're not really the thought leader within this area of law.
And if you're holding your phone in your hand doing this search, what can you also do? You can kind of go, well, estate planning attorney near me. Like like the person Mark recommended kind of sucks online. let me just search, right? You're right there, and so don't lose that. That like to protect your referrals it's been a strategy for a while. And I'm just going to keep talking about it until I see everybody doing it, Molly. So the next strategy that we've been talking about a lot lately, and this one is something that I think it's an older strategy if you've been around marketing for a while, but I think a lot of law firms are just now kind of coming around to it. And so that the strategy is like kind of maximizing your yield is like the marketing term. I like to call it as like owning your data. And the concept is a lot of law firms will spend time, especially in digital marketing, on maybe paying for ads, right? Maybe they pay for some Google ads or Facebook ads. They do a lot of work around search engine optimization and content, right? Putting a lot of money and time and effort in getting somebody to get to their website. And then if that person doesn't call you or reach out on a contact form or chat or whatever you're using for your contact, if they don't call you, and they leave, that money's gone, right? So like that ad spend, that SEO work, whatever is gone. If you can capture that information somehow, if you can give them something in return for an email address or a cell phone number you can text or something, then you can follow up and do like some drip campaigns, do some ongoing newsletters, get them in your world so that you stay top of mind with that person. And you may not even get their business, but if you stay top of mind, they might refer you down the road, right? Because a lot of people don't remember. This is crazy to think this. A lot of people won't even remember the attorney that helped them with a problem a year ago. If it's just these like kind of one-off problems, right? Like I know my business lawyer because I call him frequently and stuff. But if you had a DUI, you hire somebody really fast for a kid or something, right? And that happened and it was done. A year later, you kind of forget the firm name, which is crazy, but that happens. And people don't believe that, but you got to stay top of mind. So creating lead magnets, creating some lead nurturing campaigns, and lead magnets is essentially like a checklist, right? Here's the top 5 things you need to know or you should be doing for this, XYZ problem, right? How to talk to your kids about divorce, right? That's a great one, right? I've seen that lead magnet a lot they enter their email address and then you email them this PDF. They feel like they received something positive. You've got their email address and you can follow up with them with some email campaigns, right? It's been around for a while and people think email, like, oh gosh, nobody's doing that. Everybody's on social media, but it works and it consistently works. But if the nice thing is you're spending the money on Google, on Facebook or wherever, but then if you can capture that email, you're maximizing that yield, right? You're owning the data now. You're not kind of renting from Google. So that's the idea of that strategy.
And for them to remember you. And people love to forward articles and forward podcasts and whatever it is that they receive that they like the subject matter. And I had a client that started email marketing, and it's hilarious because they started doing webinars and they sent out an invite. And they were freaking out because existing clients registered for this webinar, which is quote unquote designed for a PNC, potential new client or a lead. And I mean, a significant amount of existing clients signed up for this webinar when that was one of the first things that they started. Hey, we're doing this wonderful Educate to Motivate webinar, et cetera. And they're like, this email marketing doesn't work. I'm like, what? Wait, what? Like, oh my goodness, you have people that already bought from you that want to come and hear you. They don't remember what you told them 5 years ago when they were a client or what have you. And the fact that they're opening your email, clicking on it, registering, holy smokes, you won the jackpot, right?
Yeah, having super fans, right? Having these clients who like follow you everywhere, online is great because they're going to be an amazing referral partner, right? Like that client is going to, if you keep top of mind and you keep them, educated on all the new things going on, you're going to be top of the list for a referral, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a great way. You should always be, closing your clients and people that maybe came to you 6 months ago, 6 years ago, 16 years ago. It doesn't matter. The fact that when they're in your webinar or they're in your funnel and they're getting your emails or what have you, you're reminding them that they maybe need to be in your maintenance program or update their estate planning or their business documents or whatever type of law that you have.
Exactly. Yeah, we recommend, for a lot of clients, there's certain times, right? So if when the kids are turning 17, 18, right, for your estate planning, Send
Yes.
out, you can time these emails too with some of the systems now, right? You can put some of these rules in that an email goes out and says, hey, it's probably time to get your kids, they're heading off to college. Do you have the power of attorney? Do you have all these, whatever. You can put all those in your system. If you own that data and you've built that structure and the lead nurturing campaigns, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Number 3.
Number 3 is making Google your best referral partner. Okay. So
Oh,
yeah. So we talked about referral partners a second ago. We talked about getting referrals and how important referrals are. So in that Clio data, right, I referred in the beginning, 50%, it's about 50. It's like 40 something and 40 something and some other, but so I'm just going to call it 50-50. 50% of people are coming to law firms because of a referral from a client, colleague, whatever.
sure.
The other 50% kind of said, I would never ask anybody. This is a private matter. And so they say, I'm going to search for my own person. And when somebody says search, we know that most of them are going to where most of us go, and they're going to Google, right? So Google can provide like 50% of the people who are searching, right? So they should be thought of as like an investment in a referral partner. And when it comes to Google, you've got a number of ways to do it, right? So the Google used to be called Google My Business. You'll still hear us all, say GMB and Google My Business, but now it's Google Business Profiles, whatever. Like they change the names all the time. But that is becoming a critical thing, and that actually will be another strategy here in a second. So the Google Business Profile, search engine optimization, using mostly content is a big, driver for a lot of search engine optimization these days. It still works. It's still important. In fact, a few years ago, everybody's like, oh, with social media is SEO, search engine optimization, is it dead? And, like for a while, it's like, well, maybe we need to be looking more and more in that direction. But this past year, in terms of hiring trends, SEO people out in the industry right now are making top dollar at Fortune 500 clients, at big agencies and stuff. Like it's hard. Like, as somebody who hires smart people who have SEO background, it's like one of the hardest hires right now. So like this is, not only is it not dead, but it's gotten like even more weight for big companies. And so, it's something you got to do. But then there's also ads, right? You got Google ads as well in there. So, doing a lot of the things that, keep you at the top of the search, whether it's via an ad, via the Google Maps with the business profiles, or with just regular organic searches, we just call it, with having your firm listed when people search on certain keywords, still critically important and can drive a lot of business. In fact, getting that Google business profile is really kind of like our fourth strategy. So like it's so important that we've called it out. So the Google search, that making it a referral partner is just kind of a way to get people to switch their mindset a little bit around it, right? It's like, okay, referral partners are really important, and I really care about referrals. Well, Google could be a massive referral partner, right? If done right. And then we switched that our strategy 4, which is really building your second home online, and that's this Google business profile. In fact, I would call it probably your first home, and your website is starting to become the second.
Oh.
It's amazing when we see clients get in that, like, there's the map pack, right? The ABC listings kind of thing from back in the day. If they're in the map and they're one of those three firms listed, they go from not being there to being there. It's like calls double overnight. And you start looking at the data. We have some clients who get a majority of their phone calls from the internet come through their Google business profile. They're not even going to the website anymore, right? That Google business profile is strong enough. Maybe it's from a referral. Maybe it's the person searched and Google says, well, here's the number one firm we think, right? And everybody trusts Google. So, okay, fine. Like I'll take that. And they see a lot of great reviews on that Google business profile. They see some maybe posts in there. The description matches what they're looking for. There's some nice images. You can do a lot of great things. This Google business profile, questions and answers are there, right? All these things people can get on a website. They can kind of get without even going to your website now from Google business profile. And Molly, if you're on a phone, you just hit the button and you call, right? You don't even have to type in a number.
I never even thought of that, but even this morning I did that. I was calling a law firm, same thing. I never even went to their website. I saw right there, and I went right from Google. I can imagine more and more, especially if you have 5 stars, a ton of reviews, what have you. There is proof of concept. They don't even need to go to your website. And if they're working from their phone or what have you, and they're busy, they don't have time to go to your website. And I would assume having that Google presence is already right there. You've already pre-qualified them and pre-sold them.
That's right. And you can tell that we're big on our data and stuff, right? So, but we know that, like over 50% of the traffic to all the law firms that we manage, all the websites and everything, is coming from mobile devices. So we know that, like over 50% of the traffic just to websites is happening. And then we know that a ton of the calls coming to web, as soon as somebody's ranked in that map pack, which, that's a big goal of ours, right? For our clients is get them up there. And as soon as they're there, a lot of the calls, people hit directions, people hit the call button, all this stuff. You can see that in the Google Insights. It's a really great tool if people are using their Google business profile. You can't see it in Google Analytics, but you can see it in this Google Insights tool. And like just note, seeing that, okay, the website drove a lot of phone calls, and we do call tracking, and people should do that. But seeing that half or almost half of the calls are coming directly from Google business profiles without even somebody going to the website has been a massive change. That's why I think thinking of this Google business profiles like a second home or a second office is really important. And you mentioned a number of things, like reviews is probably one of the biggest things you can do for that. So I have a guide that we can talk about later that, like people can, that we talk about reviews, because we could talk about reviews for an entire hour or more. Whenever I bring up reviews once, it ends up being all the questions I get in the chats on webinars and stuff, right? So we could talk about reviews for a while, but I have a whole training that we can make available for people from our Legal Marketing Academy.
Oh, great. That's amazing. And you have a guy that you partner with that works on Google reviews for law firms?
So we have a Legal Marketing Academy that we built. That is, we have one of our account managers did a whole training around how we help law firms get reviews. We don't. What we do is we try to help build the law firm build a process. Okay. Like a process for getting reviews. We don't like partnering. There are services that exist that'll help get reviews and stuff. I'm a bigger believer in doing the organic work to get the reviews and building that into the culture of the team. Yes. Like having an attorney, like their paralegal knows that, hey, you're the one, kind of closing this file up with the person, ask for that review, follow up for the review. Let's check in with them. If somebody says they'll give you a review, you totally have the right to kind of call them a few times and they'll want to make good on that. It's just, we're all busy, right? Like, yeah. Like I'll promise somebody a review, and then until the third or fourth call, I'm like, oh, I got to really go do that now. Right. But if somebody doesn't follow up with me, I'm busy. I probably forgot to leave the review.
Yes. Yeah. The firms that I serve as a fractional CMO or CEO for, I create incentive for the team where they turn it into a contest for getting reviews. So especially for somebody that's going in, by and large, a lot of the law firms that I work with are estate planning. So when it comes time for the signing ceremony and making certain that they have a QR code right there on the conference table, so to speak, or in the Zoom room that they put in the chat, client services, following up, getting reviews when you do workshops. And it makes a massive difference. And it's top of mind for the team in whatever role they serve, whether they're answering phones, doing follow-up, or the attorney in the conference room or paralegal or what have you. And they get so competitive about it because they just want to win.
Molly, I love that. And I always tell people, it's like, look, you can't give clients an incentive to leave your review, right? You shouldn't be exchanging money with a client just because that goes against let alone certain states, but that goes against the review sites themselves. Like but you can give internal team incentives for getting a review. And that's a great way to do it. We have a client that does that, and they implemented that program. And I think, in 1 year went from like kind of 20 or 30 reviews to over 100. Right. And it wasn't like in one big push. It was just, they started getting a consistent thing every month to follow up, and people were getting some nice bonuses out of it, little gift cards or whatever the incentive was, but it became competitive and it's made a massive difference for the firm too.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. What's next?
All right. Number 5. So the last one. And we've been calling this strategy invigorating your intake. So this is one area where, as a marketer, it took me a while to realize, and our team has gotten great about it. They're usually faster at getting this stuff than I am. I get to go talk about it. They do all the hard work, right? So the idea of intake being where, kind of leads or PNCs go to like just wither and die, right? And we would find out that, like one client, we're sending similar type of business through to another client. And one's like, oh my gosh, this is great. It's the best thing ever. And somebody else is saying, oh, it's not making a difference in my business, right? And it really took a lot of peeling the layers back to find out that, when a lead comes in, some firms have a great process for, the consistent scripting of how we take the lead, or, how we're bringing in the information, the follow-up, if they didn't get a hold of somebody or the right person's not there, we follow up quickly, how we get them into a consultation, or whether it's a paid consult, like they've got really defined processes. And some people even hire non-lawyers, non-paralegals to kind of like run that little system, right? And actually, I would say that the people I see doing that are probably the best at it.
Absolutely.
Right. But then there's people who it goes to a voicemail. They don't follow up for days. I've had, we do call tracking, and we're allowed to record calls, and we'll do some secret shopping for clients and stuff. And we'll pull up some of the calls. And one of them is like not only going to a voicemail, but it's like the voicemail box is full.
Oh, no.
Right. And like, you're paying a lot of money for this, and to have it die in the intake. So I've now realized that if, and the great thing is, tools like Lawmatics and Clio Grow and Lead Docket and stuff have really kind of built, CRM specific to law firms that connect with all the additional law firm systems that you need to know. And so we're really happy about that. And we've been implementing more and more, mapping the marketing into these like legal CRM systems, right? Actually kind of doing CRM work, for clients, because the marketing and the CRM, like when they're connected well and you have a process, because the CRM, it helps you, especially like the Lawmatics and these things that have like great workflows, it helps you define the process. It kind of forces a firm, right, to define the process of this. And you can look at activity like, oh, this lead wasn't followed up with in 10 minutes, in an hour, in 24 hours, whatever the numbers you want. And you can look at those really quick and make sure they're getting followed up on, or hold people accountable to what the process is. Getting that figured out and getting that understood for what matters for your firm out there is probably a better use of your time in the short term than throwing more money at marketing and leads.
Right.
And this is from a marketer, I'm telling you, and to the point where we literally have built like a little service line for helping that little process. Like, it's not like I'm helping with the sales side of it. And there's some great people that do that, but it's just connecting the dots on these legal CRM tools to help, give some analytics and give some things to help support that process. And it's been a massive difference maker for a lot of firms. And then we can go back and implement the marketing even better, right? Because now we get feedback loop of data and stuff of who was a good client, who was a good lead, how many things turned into, actual clients from this particular ad campaign. Like we can actually get better metrics and stuff and more of a marketing ROI by connecting all those systems and getting that intake really dialed in.
I love that you are a firm believer in that. I am constantly just screaming from the rooftops about that, yet I can't, I'm amazed at how many firms don't know their numbers in regards to how many leads are coming in, what the conversion is from a lead coming into the office, or some people like the word potential new client,
PNCs,
what have you, prospect, whatever terminology resonates with you. And then knowing what percentage of them actually book an initial consultation. And so often people don't even know that number. They're not even tracking every phone call coming in. They're like, oh, if they don't teach or intake to, okay, great. Maybe we don't do divorces, but do we have a referral sheet where we can, to your point, where we can partner up and call them a power partner and lock arms with them instead of just saying no and letting them lead? It's just fascinating to me, and where they're coming from, not tracking the referral sources at all. When I start running reports, they all say Google. I'm like, all right, whoa, time out. First of all, you're not running any ads or any paid. You have no Google presence hardly at all, unless I physically type in your law firm name, and it's even a witch hunt to find that. And so it's just fascinating to me how many people really do not take that part so incredibly seriously, even if you're not spending a dime on marketing, right?
Right. And if all somebody does in the next like 6 months of in 2022 here, right, if all they do is start tracking and measuring that information, you're going to see some things just by doing that become obvious of where to maybe put some extra money. Right. It's like, oh, I don't really have the money for marketing. Well, yeah, because we're not sure where it needs to go. Right. Yeah. But if you can start dialing that in, it's like, all right, well, now we're going to test this. Like we have one client who, swore that they were getting a lot of business from the Yellow Pages. And we're like, all right, come on. I mean, and this wasn't like 5, 10 years ago. This was like, a couple of years ago. But it turned out that, and so we're like, well, look, if you think so, don't stop spending, like whenever we start working with a client, we're like, don't stop spending money on what you're doing right now. Let us get all the things in place to measure, right? Let's know and then let's measure not just what the analytics, Google Analytics tells us, but actually let's measure what's becoming a client. Like to your point of like, having all those metrics. It turned out that this one area, the Yellow Pages was driving business. And it was driving enough business to totally justify the spend on Yellow Pages. And so we're like, all right, in that particular area. But in another market, it didn't, right? So they dropped that spend, kept this spend over here. In fact, they even tested, like, do we get a bigger page or something, So having that information allows you to make those kind of calls. And by the way, maximize, you go back to maximizing your yield again, right? Like you can maximize the yield because you're not, you're measuring something. Signing up for a program 3 months, with whatever the tool, like FindLaw or some, super lawyers or something. You sign up for that for 3 months, measure it. If it works, great, keep going. If not, let's spend that money somewhere else.
Right.
So like measuring and tracking is so important to us. But if you don't have the intake process down, it falls apart.
That's exactly right. Yesterday, I was working with a firm and we had just hired a non-attorney salesperson. And so through my Smart Hire Solution process, I make the law firms do a 90-day onboarding where I facilitate and clarify and verify the goals and what have you. Because, way back when they'd hire new employees, go through our recruiting services, and then call me 30 days, 60 days, 120 days later. And they're like, that person was junk. They didn't work out. They didn't perform, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, walk me through, what did you do for your onboarding? What did you do to train them? What were their KPIs? What were their goals? What have you? Mm-hmm. And crickets, they couldn't answer it. So I'm like, all right, I got to manage this and babysit this because they need time, attention, feedback, a framework to work from. And yesterday we're on an onboarding call, non-attorney salesperson, crushing it, doing really, really great, right? First 30 days, get on the 60-day review yesterday. Law firm ups their marketing and start running Facebook ads to a PDF download to the website, right? Well, we're on there and I'm asking the attorneys there with the salesperson. I'm like, okay, great. Walk me through. Of course, they didn't have any reporting yet. And so they walk on there and the salesperson's just so frustrated. He's so defeated. He's so deflated. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I had 27 no-shows. 27 no-shows for my initial consultations or what have you. He's frustrated. And I'm like, whoa, time out. Like, where did these leads come from, first of all? So what's wrong with the targeting? We got to go back to marketing. And then what's going on the intake side of it? So when your person's scheduling these appointments, are they taking control of the conversation and making certain and setting up the conversation with the prospective client about why you don't want to cancel this appointment, what's going to happen, our confirmation emails or phone calls or any of that going out? No one can answer that question. I'm like, This poor salesperson is so frustrated and thinking it's his fault. He's not meeting his numbers. He's not meeting his goal. And nobody knows what the heck's going on at intake at all.
Yep. And to be fair, right? Like this isn't a lawyer, like law firm owner problem. I think it's, because like I'm a business owner, you're a business owner. I mean, like these things, like policies, procedures, are so important. But yet it's like the first thing that, like, oh, I didn't go update it when we changed the idea and we're going to try something new. And what's the, and so I have to remind myself all the time. And I think we've, fortunately at GNGF, we've built a culture of like this idea that, everything needs the process, everything, should be documented. To the point where my team is better at than I am. But like those, we just hired another business development rep in that same exact, and that's the first thing was, okay, here's our qualification criteria. If they don't meet this, they can't go to the next stage. And here's how you follow up to make sure they're going to get on the consultation with the marketing consultant and stuff, right? So like building that, we have that now. I didn't have that a couple of years ago, and I'm supposed to be pretty good at this, right? But it's where I've seen, I've seen the benefit in my own business, but seeing it, like you said, firsthand when you bring these kind of non-lawyer like representatives in to kind of take the PNC and take the lead and kind of follow up and do the fast follow up and the additional follow up, making the big difference for law firms. It's like, oh, okay, it made a big difference for my business. This is just a business. It's a good business practice, not a law firm specific business practice, right?
Yes. And, to your point, I mean, technology is forever changing, like Lawmatics or ClearGrow that you said. I highly recommend listeners that you tune in with Mark and Melanie because they are definitely in the know in regards to technology and Zapiers and all those buzzwords that I hear to make sure that everything integrates. And, it's overwhelming, right? I mean, technology, it's overwhelming. It's a lot of moving pieces. Stuff doesn't work. It breaks. You don't get your reporting. And so often you see people that just like give up. I say recruit a member of your team to get into Mark's Academy and really to start taking ownership of team members. Love to know that. They want to know they're winning. They want to know what's working, what's not working, just like the Google review contest in regards to seeing where they can make these incremental improvements within your firm.
And Molly.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say to that point, I mean, I've actually, I created a downloadable because, look, I'm going to do what I actually say is important, right? I've created a nice lead magnet for people. I'm going to tell you right now, it's a lead magnet, right? So, but if people go to gnngf.com / Molly McGrath, I made it nice and easy for your listeners. So if they go there, for the first 25 people, we'll send you a paperback version of our books, $50 on Amazon. We'll send it to you if you just, jump over there.
Thank you.
And for everybody else, we'll send an ebook. We actually have a nice PDF download as well. But we'll get a book out to you. And then I pulled in 3 kind of how-to courses from our Legal Marketing Academy that I thought kind of went along with this. So I've got one on lead magnets. So there's like how-to videos and templates and tools there. Lead nurturing, so lead magnet, lead nurturing, and then I have one on online reviews as well.
Oh, wow.
So, and then if they use your name, Molly McGrath, we'll give 1 month for free in the Legal Marketing Academy. So check it out. So we have like our full service. We do stuff for clients for big dollars, but our Legal Marketing Academy is for people who are still kind of rolling up their sleeves, like to do some of this themselves and just want some online coaching and some group coaching and some how-tos.
Oh my good. So say the link again for our listeners who are not maybe driving or exercising.
Yeah, GNGF.com / Molly McGrath. And
Great.
Then the code would be Molly McGrath as well to get the free month. And yeah, definitely check it out. And I'll send you the link. You can put it in the show notes.
Great. Thank you so much for that. That's very generous. Excellent.
Yeah, but we have the same approach, right? Like go teach, and some people will want some extra help. And if I can help people without, like when people leave me a review about our book saying it helped grow their business, and we didn't even do the work. They just, got the book. It just feels amazing. So,
yes. Oh, Mark, thank you very much for being our guest today and giving these strategies so critical, so important. And like you said, right now I love that you even separated Google My Business out of there and really put emphasis on the referral sources as well, because to your point, we're in the personal services industry first and foremost. And most business owners are building their referrals would, I hope, even with all the digital, even with all the paid advertising and online, what have you, is that you are the mistake I see so often of really, really ignoring your referral sources, which is, the best way to keep your business on a path of growth.
Absolutely.
All right. That's a wrap. Until next time, thank you, attorneys, law firms, employees, for being leaders, leading leaders. All right, that's a good stopping point for us. We've reached the end of yet another episode of Hiring and Empowering Solutions podcast, where dream teams of entrepreneurs in an entrepreneur's world really do come true. Listen, whether you're a business owner, executive, or responsible for hiring in your law firm, we fully understand hiring, onboarding, training, and leadership is very expensive, exhausting, overwhelming, and time-consuming for the already taxed professional. Well, we have your back on all fronts. For 25 years, we have transformed over 4,000 law firm teams into becoming the most efficient, resourceful, and profitable asset of your business. Check out our Smart Hire solution or the Employee Leadership Program and the 66-day law firm turnaround at hiringandempowering.com.